Yeah. Well, a house in a little bit of need there is where you can get your better price too.
Yeah.
That's true too. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
Yes.
here we are.
Here we are.
Where
Yeah.
are we? Tell
Mr.
me where
Bill,
we are.
Or should I introduce? You want to introduce?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, welcome to another the Nautilus Studio M31 Files. Today in the studio we have our good friend TJ Zark.
Yes.
And that's how you say your last name, right?
Yeah.
Have a
Zark.
never
With
asked
that French accent.
Yeah, you have to
Zark,
put a little French
Zark.
accent in everything. You
Yeah.
know?
All right. Yeah. All right. I like
How are you
it.
doing, TJ?
I'm great.
Thanks for
good.
being
Yeah, I'm happy
coming
to be here. Yeah.
from wherever you came from. Because actually, were you in Cortez today?
Yeah,
or?
yeah,
Okay.
I was. I
Okay.
drove over from Cortez. It's a beautiful morning. The temperature's nice. We got a tiny little bit of
And
rain.
it's gonna supposedly afternoon get some more and more.
Yeah.
That'd be
fun.
nice. We had a little bit yesterday, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
I saw the clouds everywhere. I'm like, come on.
I know. We pray for rain around
Yeah.
here these days.
And we have microclimates.
We
So
do.
it'll like rain a lot and just down the street
Yeah.
and miss you
And
completely.
you can see it. You almost
Yeah.
feel it, but it doesn't come to you.
Here
right?
it comes. Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It goes around, yeah.
Right.
That is funny. So, TJ, I'm going to ask you a very simple first question. Where are you from?
Oh, boy, that is so not simple. You know, I was born in an odd spot. I think my mother was just there because my father had been shipped to Germany. He was going to run the officers club in Frankfurt. And my mom was pregnant and couldn't make the trip.
Okay.
And so I was born in North Tonawanda, New York, but we never really lived there. We were just there
Because
that's where my mom had me, and then myself and my older brother, sister, and my mom got on a little jet that they talked about, you know, a little jet with the prop jobs, and we flew to Germany, and but in the end, like, we were a few places, but in the end I was raised in Valentine, Nebraska. It's about 7 miles from the South Dakota border. It's like the country where Dances with Wolves was shot. It's
nice.
super beautiful, but then there's also these sand hills that are just these rolling hills. It was an inland sea that's now covered in grass. So the county I lived in had 6,000 people and about 6 million cows.
Wow.
So that's why Mancos, this area is familiar to me in a soul way, right? Because
So how big was that actual small?
1,200 people maybe.
Oh, wow.
And it was the county
Yeah,
seat.
it's like Memphis.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Crazy, yeah.
And it's still a
Lots of
beautiful,
space,
beautiful
obviously,
place.
yeah.
It's kind of a rare geological nature, you know, this grass that grows on sand, and so kind of the animal life and stuff. It's really
It's so
beautiful,
different,
but
yeah.
sparse.
Yeah.
Really sparse. You can ride a horse and not see a telephone pole for hours.
Oh man.
You know?
That's wow.
Pretty neat. In its
That's
own
one
way.
thing, you know, I really regretted. I traveled a little bit with a friend of mine in 2015. We went across the country quite a bit. Everywhere you go, you got these lines, electric lines between
Yeah.
poles. So you want to take a beautiful panoramic picture, and everything is beautiful except for these lines.
You gotta
Always in
lose
the
the
way.
lines.
True.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Well, that's weird about Cortez too, that I never noticed before. But there's just power lines running through everybody's yards.
yeah.
You know, just
Yeah.
big drapey lines.
Yeah.
You just need to know how to use Photoshop.
It's,
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's too bad that, you know, if it wasn't so expensive to bury stuff, then
Right.
it would be great. But
Right.
yeah, it's a lot cheaper to hang it for sure.
Yeah.
So, was it cold? Is
Yeah, we had
Nebraska-
winters, and then, you know, one of the things that I remember that I miss is the feeling of it being so warm at night still.
Oh,
You know,
really?
like that it would hold. But being at this altitude, it's very different. In the summer, your nights are cool.
What kind of altitude? We
I mean,
talking about?
yeah, I don't even know, but we certainly didn't have enough that the nights were cool very often. So the nights were still warm, and I loved that.
Right, sure.
You know, we lived in town. My mother was a single mother, but both my brother and I were on ranches in the summer.
Okay.
From the time I was a pretty little kid, working in the hayfield or helping cook for the hired help. You know, there were literally bunkhouses and strings of horses that they worked cattle with. There was one ranch that I went to several times, it ran about 1,500 head of cows.
Wow.
On 40,000, 50,000 acres.
Oh,
you know,
nice.
like a very different
Plenty
kind
of
of country.
That's a real ranch,
sure.
yeah.
And what can I ask you what your parents were doing? Like, what was their
Well,
career?
my dad did not come with. My grandfather came and got us after an incident with my mom and dad, and he took us to Valentine. My grandfather ran the vet supply store, and there was the King Coin Laundryette that were together that he had, and my mom worked at the implement, the dealership for tractors and large equipment, and she was fascinating, beautiful, tall, willowy, and she would answer the phone like this. Keeley Implement. And all the ranchers were like, who is that?
We better go there and check something out.
Yeah. Not just the equipment.
Well, and you know, it's funny. I'm working on a novel that I'm drawing from this life out in that big country, and I've totally and the ranchers there that lived on these big properties, and they were often maybe 100 miles from a real town, down dirt roads. They would have small airplanes.
Yeah.
So they would have 2-seater or 4-seater planes, and that's how I got to the country in the summer. That's how a rancher would come in, pick up some parts, pick me up, fly me out to the ranch, and I'd be at the ranch all summer. And then if their kids got hurt or something, they had a way to get them to the hospital. Wow. Right? Like
right, because otherwise it was
so it's just a really different place to grow up.
Yeah,
wow.
for sure.
I've never been normal since.
Yeah.
I probably didn't stand a good chance to begin with.
Yeah.
To begin with.
How long did you stay in that area?
We were there. I mean, my brother and sister graduated from high school there. Probably 10, 12 years.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the next move?
My mom and I, my brother and sister were already out of the house. My mom and I were in Scottsbluff, Nebraska for a short bit, and then she moved to be close to the grandkids where my sister had grandkids, and I kind of flitted around for a while. I was in Denver, I was in Austin, I went to Nashville, and then I was in Nashville for 12 years.
12 years in Nashville.
I was there for 12 years, and then I flew back and forth. I went back up to ranch country with a complicated situation, but I got to be there for about 10 years. Mm-hmm. And then I would go back to Nashville for work.
Music?
No, we were doing, well, kind of. We were doing these interactive, multi-million-dollar packages for people like NASA and Microsoft and McDonald's and Coca-Cola, National Nurses Foundation. People would have a cultural problem, like NASA blew up a space shuttle,
right?
And they knew they had a cultural problem, like that. This mistake was because of how people communicated, right? The high-end engineers weren't listening to the guys that were actually making and fixing and building.
I didn't know about that. Wow.
And so they were trying to address that. So we would do these animated music, voiceover, challenge-based cycles of asking what happened. And then the staff would work together in groups using this software that we made we're sure not talking about music yet, but they'd use this stuff, and so that these groups of people would have almost prompts to solve their own problem. Because you can't tell somebody, you were an asshole and you were an asshole and we blew up people in the sky.
No,
because
no,
they get defensive, like.
Well, and plus it's probably not the way to fix anything.
No, exactly. But you
to
create an environment where they start communicating and they fix it themselves. And so we did that for all kinds of companies, McDonald's.
Okay.
You know, how do you onboard people? The biggest reason people leave jobs is because they weren't trained well to begin with. The biggest reason people stay at jobs, we hired Gallup one time to do a survey. Why do people stay in their jobs? What creates loyalty? They stay because one person cares about them.
Okay.
Right? It's not the money. Money is like 5.
Right.
Am I respected? Does somebody care about me? Do I get to laugh at work?
Am I recognized for my efforts? All other things like that, yeah.
So we I hired a bunch of musicians. Musicians are often good programmers, and and we did all the custom music for this stuff, and there, like for McDonald's, we wrote all these songs. I wrote all these songs about how to operate, like I wrote this song called Groove. You got to groove when you move, and you know, how do you move on the line without bashing into each other, or how do you have spark, you know? And so
I didn't even know anybody did stuff like that. That's
right.
So wild. So how did you get your music? Like, where did that happen?
Well, you were doing it. You were writing music about moving and grooving.
I know.
Well, that was after I'd already had
but she must have started something else,
That was after I walked away, really, from pursuing a record deal. That I got to do that, and that was part of the reason why I walked away, because we were making really cool stuff, and our team was amazing, and many other reasons. But I played in a youth group for a while that traveled around, and maybe the first song I learned on the guitar was like, what is that? Put your hand in the hand of the man that stills the water, right? That's and it was, you know, you play like, put your hand in the hand of the band that stills the water, right? And
is that where you first held an instrument and started, or did
no? I think I had a boyfriend for a hot minute that tried to teach me guitar, and I'm like, this hurts. You know, this isn't any fun. Ouch. And then I'll tell you, I mean, the pivot point was my mom while I was in that youth group, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and I wouldn't say that we were close, but I was the one to come home and take care of her, because I was the one with no real responsibility. It was something I could leave. My sister had kids, and my brother was working in a career, and I went and stayed with her, and I wrote a song for her, and that was the first song I really ever wrote.
Okay.
And I, you know, and then I started writing songs. And I was late. I've been late to everything that I've done. Like right now at 64, I'm the best version of myself, I hope. I hope I'll be the better version of myself at 65. But I always got to all these things late. I didn't get to Nashville till I was maybe 30. Something like that.
You mentioned San Francisco at some point.
That was
Did
all
you do anything there?
That was all of the technology stuff. So from that Nashville thing, I ended up in Silicon Valley making mobile apps, which were very similar. You know, we did Band of the Day and the History of Jazz, and On the Way. They were all music based stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah, But I, so when I started writing songs, I was in the Tulsa area where my family had kind of all come together after my mom had died, and I knew I was writing good songs because I was doing open mic stuff, you know, like I knew, like when you write a song where the weak point is because you lose them. You're like, I need to go work on that.
Well, and sometimes
part.
even yourself, you know, it's just like what you like and what, even without the people, you realize.
Yeah, but I have a theory about that.
Oh, okay.
I have a theory about art in general, and that's that even design, even if it's a logo, if it's your hat, you don't know if it's good till it has pressure on it. Like I can make the best logo in the world, but until somebody uses it, and it's got to fit on a cap, and it's got to go on a social media badge, and it's got to, it might fall apart. The lines are too small. You know, it's not holding up. It's not representing. People don't understand how it relates to the entity that it's been made for. So it's not doing its job. And a song, I don't think, becomes a great song until you've taken it out and put the pressure of an audience against it.
And see it. Yeah.
And then somebody goes, that's my song. And when somebody says it's my song, that's when the song's successful.
Right.
I mean, it can be successful to me. I have little ditties that I've written that nobody will ever care about.
Right.
But when you put something under pressure, or even take it into the studio, and you go, this kind of is a really small song, and how do we make it bigger, or should we reduce what we're trying to do with it and let it stay small?
Yeah, sometimes
really
overproduced is the other way, also to destroy it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right. So
Nashville.
I'm back to.
I went to Austin, Texas, because I had a friend that lived there, and I knew some comedians. The comedy scene was pretty cool in Austin when I lived there. There was a club called the Velveeta Room, and I had met this woman who did a bit called Yvonne. She was a hairdresser. You know, she had this thing, and she's like, you should go to Austin with your music. And I'm like, I'm there. And I remember I was on the plane on my way to Austin, just to check it out the first time. And I was working on something in my little journal. I'd had a million journals and writing stuff. And I went, oh my God, I don't want to be a songwriter. I am one. Have you ever had that where you went, oh, my aspiration that I dreamed about, I'm there.
That's what I am.
Right, I'm a songwriter.
I'm a fisherman.
Yeah, good for you.
I finally am a fisherman.
Yay.
No, absolutely.
And so I went to Austin, and there was I can't remember the name of the coolest open mic, but you had to call dial, then you'd finally get an answer, and they'd say you're 13 or you're too late or whatever, right?
Wow.
And so you'd get in, you'd be able to play 3 songs, and then there was like the Cactus Cafe on campus. That was a big open mic to do, and then there were these other clubs like the Continental Club once you kind of got things going, and I liked it. I loved Austin. I loved living there. Drank way too much in Austin. Decided I needed to stop drinking when I had one gig. The sound man was like, no.
What era? How old were you when you were doing that?
I think I might have been 28 or 29. I wasn't there very long. I think I got to Nashville at 30.
What was that? The 90s or?
Yeah, it was the 90s. Mm-hmm. And I loved Austin, but I didn't feel like it was a record industry town. I felt like it was a band town. Mm. It was a performance town. It was a great place to develop what you did.
Didn't have really much going on. Okay.
But not, again, that pressure. Like, what's the pressure of trying to get a record deal versus?
Do you know if people get there with South by Southwest?
Yeah,
that's a pretty big thing.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily have to live there to do South by Southwest.
No, most actually
that's
don't,
for sure a big
really,
thing.
Yeah.
But I had this.
That's the only time they kind of have people looking around for talent. Okay,
yeah. And there's a few studios, and we're talking forever ago. Who knows? Austin, I'm sure, is a completely different town. Yeah. But when I was there was a few studios. I got to record a little bit. They were like this environment. You went to somebody's house and you recorded. Mm-hmm. And so I decided I was going to move to L.A., New York, or Nashville. So I flew out to L.A. for a while. And the men there were prettier than I was. And what was I going to do about that? They wore more makeup and had more hair product than I did.
Yes. He was out there.
And one of those, yeah.
Yeah, I think I
wasn't
got
pretty,
a couple
but
of pictures.
he
was pretty in a couple of those bands.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
you had to. Just follow the trend. Yeah.
Tight pants.
Long hair, makeup, black nail polish. Yeah, you had to do all that
baby.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And then I went to New York. I had a friend Spike there, and well, no, that wouldn't have been Spike. Anyway, I flew out to New York, and the friends that I had there were they were doing a lot of really bad drugs. Like life-changing drugs, and I'm like, I won't live through this. And I'm sorry, because I really think New York would have been a great fit for me.
Yeah.
In terms of musically, I think of the crunchy, dark stuff I was doing would have been good there.
The Village is full of really cool stuff. Yeah.
And then I found out that there were great musicians in Nashville that played everything. Mm-hmm. Once I separated Nashville from country music, that these guys, some of them are great jazz players, and but they live in Nashville because the lifestyle is good and the recording situation is really good. I moved to Nashville and I didn't know anybody, and I hated it for the first few months. I couldn't find my way around. The freeways there go in circles.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah. We spent 2 years there.
Right?
After 2 years,
that's
like,
right.
No, that's it was dangerous for Mesty to drive on that highway.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's just crazy. The way they have the exits on the left, all the right people are crossing each other. And you got half a mile to get your exit from the right side to the left.
That's right.
And the other guys are coming from the left trying to go,
Wow.
And then the rest of the roads that aren't interstates go in these big loopy circles, and you're just like,
You never
where
know where you
am
are,
I?
right?
I've been here before.
Yeah. Sometimes you finally found a place. You're like, oh, there it is.
And it's because it's a valley, right? Like the whole thing is a valley, and so it's constrained and became circular because all the little towns in that valley grew into the city of Nashville.
Yeah.
So, and I loved it. There was all the universities there, really smart people. There were these neighborhoods. It was made of walking neighborhoods. Anywhere you went in Nashville, I feel like you got a cup of coffee, you ran into somebody you knew,
Did you get to meet some interesting people that you felt was really made?
Yeah, I did. I got to meet a lot of interesting people. I did. I got to play with some really great guys there. I had this. I met this guy, and he said, "Oh, you're a songwriter. Come over." And this is before I met the really interesting people. These guys were great, but so I meet this guy, and he said, "Well, let me hear your songs." And he pulled out his guitar, and he was a dweedly dwee guy, but he was a hell of a player.
Yeah,
and he put together a band in 15 minutes, and we were gigging on my songs.
Oh wow!
I mean, but my friends were like, I actually had a friend that sent me the song. I think it's perfectly clear you're in the wrong band. Oh. The problem was...
How did you feel about it?
Well, I mean, it's always fun to play big, giant rock and roll.
Sure.
Like, it's fun.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Even if the guitar player is annoying everybody that comes to see you play. He was great, but he was, he was really dominating the music. And I think that happened to me a few times because at the time, back then, I had a big voice. And I could get up over a big band. Right. I could bring the whole thing. And guys loved it because they could play as hard and as intensely as they wanted to. But truthfully, I was just, a folk singer.
right, sure. Well, it's an interesting experience sometimes. Branching out for a while gives you another tool in your suitcase, I guess.
So I'm in that band and I'm playing. I can't remember. Like I'll tell you the thing that I start losing now are names of places and people. Like and maybe it's just not important enough to me to remember, but there was this one pretty special little bar that didn't last very long in Nashville, and these three guys came to see me play: Michael Rhodes, Kenny Greenberg, and Chad Cromwell. And they said, "We'd like to produce you. We're kind of a group that gets hired together in studios to do records for everybody."
Those names sound familiar. They probably had some pretty big clients that
They
all
were
know
Class
about.
A players and played all around the world and they're on a lot of records. Kenny Greenberg won a Grammy and an Oscar for the song that he wrote for The Horse Whisperer that Alison Moore sang. He's done Toby Keith and Kenny Chesney for years. He produced them. At the time that I met them, they were players, not producers. Kenny became a pretty big producer, and they of course said, "But we don't want your band."
And that was
well, I mean, it's also difficult because you care about people.
Well, yeah.
And they were good guys, and we had a lot of fun. And so I got to go in the studio with them, and it was absolutely magical. We got kind of a development deal to produce 5 songs, and recorded some in Franklin and in
Franklin is
down
really
on
nice town.
Yeah. It's those studios I think also do a lot of Christian music out there, but they just ask for some favors too. They ask some guys for some favors, and so we did some really crunchy big stuff because again, they're big rock gods. Like Kenny Greenberg, man, he's an electric guitar player. Michael Rhodes is a legendary bass player. Chad Cromwell was Neil Young's drummer, and
that's where I've heard those names.
Yeah, they were big guys. They were the kind of guys that, and I was just really lucky that they believed in the songs. And I would say
you must have had something to offer. I mean, there are plenty of people in Nashville, so
right. Well, and what they said was I said, I can't believe you guys are doing this. They said, without you, we don't have anything to play. we don't write songs. We're not
they're
front
not writers,
people.
they're
Like
just-
without
right,
someone
right.
like you,
Interesting.
we don't. What do we have?
Yeah.
And so I got to make music with these guys, and I'll tell you, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me, because after you play with them,
Nothing compares.
Yeah.
yeah,
You can't
it's
spoil
really,
it.
it's like, oh,
Talk about spoiled.
oh my God, it just kind of.